I know, like, I personally always love to hurry into having an answer
Yeah.
and correcting an issue, taking care of a problem. And oftentimes, the best thing I can do is just hear someone out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for another great episode of the Brotherhood Project. You are joined by your co-host, Philip Salmon, and my good friend, Austin Traxel. But we have the honor and the privilege to have another guest today with us. Austin, who is it, and what is he?
Today we have coming from near Nashville, Tennessee, we have Mr. John Tibbs, a
Hello.
singer, songwriter, a lot of great music, worship music, and just great acoustic, a lot of awesome stuff. But yeah, John, how's everything going?
Pretty good, man. It's awesome to talk to you guys today.
Yeah, so we're pumped to have you on the show. Our first guest that it's beyond our immediate circle and our community. So we're really excited to just kind of branch out. And who better than yourself? I was telling you a little bit earlier in youth group when I was leading worship for my youth group, like my youth pastor showed me a lot of your stuff, and like I just wanted to I wanted to play one of your songs and I didn't have the chords, so I just emailed you and asked you for the chords, and like it was really cool that like the next day you just sent me the chords, and like I was like, how cool for someone to just help out, a young person who's aspiring to make music as
Yeah,
well.
of course. That's amazing.
Yeah. So we'll get into some more questions about you and your music and a lot of stuff. But with each guest, we kind of like to just start things off with give us a little bit about your background and where your perspective comes from and what helps build that perspective.
Ooh, man, that's a good question. So, I would say my perspective continues to change, just because I get older and I experience and new situations. So, yeah. So I was born in Kentucky, pastor's kid there in Lexington. I was in a little town called Cynthiana outside there, and then we moved to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, outside Pittsburgh. Uh, and I graduated high school there, and I'm going to school at Anderson University. Um, I got hitched shortly after school, and we spent the next few years there in central Indiana, um, Anderson, and then Indianapolis area, and then moved down to Nashville, very beginning of 2015. And this place has definitely become um, home for us. And yeah, so I've been doing music full time now for 7.5 years, which has just
Mhm.
been awesome. Toured about 1,500 dates, and then the coronavirus put a pause on all of that. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, man, that is the like overview, I guess.
Yeah.
My perspective, yeah, like I said, continues to change. It'll probably change a little bit after talking to you two today.
Hopefully in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's good. I I loved kind of doing some research and digging because one thing that I love about artists are their availability and their kind of down to earth, and it was really awesome because it seems as if you're pretty open and you're pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, even before this, you said you're an open book, but just right off the bat, I was going through your merchandise and I saw the hot sauce. I want to know the background between the hot sauce.
Yes, I do have hot sauce at our store. So there's actually like a whole purpose to it. So uh, and I was in college. Well, actually, so then I was in high school. I did like an album that was horrible and no one is ever going to hear. Uh, and the income from that, had gone over to this area in Uganda to build like an AIDS outreach place to help give um, people who have AIDS like a chance to have like income and stuff like that. And so did that in high school. Didn't get to go over there, and then the summer after my freshman year of college, I got to go over there, see that place. It was amazing, and spent some time in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, and did some outdoor stuff too, hiking and all that. And on a trip over there, had a day off from England, and anytime you go outside of the U.S., you got to be taking injections and medications so you don't get sick. And so I was doing that, but on a trip over there, had a day off in England, and somehow through TSA, getting back on the plane, basically I got all those pills I needed stolen from me. So I landed in Kenya and did not have the basically just everything that I needed. So I went to a pharmacy. I think it was a pharmacy, and I bought some stuff that I thought was the same thing. It was not. And so, anyways, I had a great time in Africa, but by the time I got home, I was very, very sick. So, had a fever for 10 days straight over 104, and I have malaria. And it's a horrible illness, and it's like after you have it, it comes back over and over and over. And so I've had it now, I think 3 or 4 times. And anyways, so the first time I had this temperature, I was in the hospital, and of course, here in the U.S. you've got access to everything, so like issues like that are taken care of. But I was still just so sick and unhappy, to be honest. And it was kind of in that time, like I was just thinking about like all those kids I spent with, like that were just as sick as I was, but they didn't have access to everything I need here in the U.S. And in particular, I'll always hang on to the image of this child. He was about 10 years old. He was an orphan. He was just by himself all day, baking in the heat, and he had that temperature. And man, at that point, like it was just like, man, this just doesn't add up. And I looked into this illness. It's a horrible disease. It kills so many people. And it's kind of crazy because it's actually pretty easy to keep out of getting sick, because the infected insects that carry the illness, they only come out in the evening. And so it's as simple as, being in a place in the evening where you don't get eaten by these infected insects. That's it. And yet it continues to kill so many people. And so anyways, after experiencing that illness personally and digging into it and seeing the injustice behind it all, was like, how can I help? And tents are so inexpensive to buy, actually. And so I have always enjoyed hot sauce. I eat on everything. And so it's like, create my own hot sauce and help. And so I did that. So yeah. So, if you buy a thing of hot sauce, the income from it goes to buy big tents to protect people. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of hot sauce, and so I'm gonna grab some because you just can't go wrong with some good hot sauce. That's good.
Well, cool.
I like that.
I'm definitely biased, but I think it's delicious. So you'll have to give me your input on it.
Yeah, his expert review from Phil.
Well, I myself, I was raised in Lexington, Kentucky, but I was very curious to know. Are you still an avid, like, Kentucky Wildcats men's basketball?
Die hard.
Okay. Okay. I was hoping we could relate on that level, because I was like, anybody that's born in Lexington, like even if it's in the surrounding area, it's like once you get past like 64 into Louisville, it's like U of L, and you're like right now living in U of L stinks because I don't have that diehard like BBN pride.
Really? Even over there?
Yeah, even over there.
Wow. Okay.
Well, no, I have it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about today. I was like, what should I wear? And I was like, I'll just wear clothes, hopefully.
It's always a great starting point for Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the Kentucky thing was definitely different because I moved in from Cleveland when I went to Asbury, and it threw me off a little bit. I didn't expect, it's crazy because we have 3 professional sports teams, but when you come down here, they just got the Wildcats, and it's just as big.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Have you noticed?
Man, I was like I get it. It was the good thing to do and all that, but I was so bummed this year with the tournament being canceled.
Oh yeah.
Even the SEC tournament, because it's like here in town, and I was going to go, and So, and then of course, it's like all those guys are gone now, so they're building all over. But
yeah, you'll never know.
Yep. I think that's the hardest part is like it's like they didn't never get to do it and decide. Because I thought that this year could have been our year, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that every year. So
Yeah, we certainly turned it up towards the end of the season, which was good, especially with Quickly kind of like picking up on his ability, which is awesome to hear because I love his story. Like his it's just I love my favorite part about him is his free throw routine because he just like sits there, but he's like in his own mind, and he's just like it's just a really cool story, and he's a pretty outspoken Christian, so it's like a really cool experience to have. That pride in that, but yeah, it's a tough situation to see them not have that opportunity. But as always, Calipari's reloading.
Yes, he is, man. Bring him on.
For sure.
I haven't hopped on that train yet, but Phil's been trying for a long time.
Yeah, we're still working with him, but it's a little bit easier. Austin being from Cleveland, he's made me a Browns fan. So
nice.
Yeah, so he's jumped on my train. I haven't hopped on his yet. We'll see. Yeah, so you were mentioning a little bit that you were kind of gaining a lot of speed, doing a lot of shows and stuff before COVID. What kind of things, I guess now that you're in a different season that we're all forced into right now, like what kind of things have you been working on new stuff, or you've been taking time to just meditate and take a break because maybe you needed a break? Like what kind of things are you learning right now that we have a pause?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the last 7.5 years, it's just been gone. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I enjoyed that. I'm happily hitched. Em and I just had our 9th anniversary. And that was just kind of our pace of things. And on average, I was doing about 200 dates from January to January. So, and then I just put out a brand new EP on March 6th. And I think that was the day after the first coronavirus case here in, so it was technically in a different county, but here in this area happened, and was going out on a tour. It was gonna be 30 dates or so, and just kind of overnight, kind of everything just paused. So it was that night that I saw I was kind of getting stressed about it all. I turned off my phone, turned on TV, and then before bed turned on my phone, and I saw Tom Hanks had it, and the NBA canceled, and it was like that night. And then the next day I was supposed to be headed to the airport at like 6 a.m. and got the text like in the Uber there. It was like, don't go. So,
wow.
So it was just kind of like that instant. And, at first it was like, hey, these next 10 days, stay home. The dates are going to get scheduled in June. And then like, as it's just gone on, it's just like, no, the whole tour is done. And, they're trying to add some dates in the calendar, but like there was a couple dates in June. Of course, those aren't happening. So, so it has definitely been a big adjustment. I think this is our 12th week into home straight, and like I'm kind of embarrassed to say this probably, but that is more time that I've had at home over a Saturday and Sunday combined since probably like I got to town in January of 2015.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's actually been amazing. Emily and I are expecting our first child in October. And so it's been great to have this time together. It's just been so different than I was expecting, time to be. So, I just put out the EP, and kind of, especially early in those days, just trying to figure it all out and, change and adjust. And, I think anytime that sort of change happens, you get anxious. And so I was definitely going through that. As time's gone on and I've adjusted, I would say I don't really have that anxiety at this point. It's just kind of how things have changed and figured out. And I've really kind of hunker down and we're in our good place, and our priorities like getting our kid home and
Yeah.
keeping him or her like okay and safe and healthy, and like understanding that at some point touring is going to open back up again, and just kind of trying to enjoy this season as it is,
Yeah.
because I can't change it. And so that's kind of been the paradigm change, I think. And in that, I've had a lot of peace, and like I've seen a lot of good in that too. It's just kind of changing my perspective. So, but early on, when I was really anxious, it was amazing because it was like all these classic hymns
Mm-hmm.
that I hadn't heard or done in forever. They all just kind of came back to me. And so, I decided to do this acoustic hymn EP, and it was just like here at the house, a single take. I just did them and put it out. The first like actual like studio EP, like that I was going on the tour to push on, like that had just come out on March 6th. And I think that this hymn EP was done like 8 days after that.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a chance for me to personally just kind of do something in response to this whole thing. It was like, there's nothing else to do. But these beautiful like old songs are encouraging me so much. And so I offer that up to others. And so I think that's kind of how I've been taking on the season.
Yeah. No, I'll say Hymns from Room, I've liked it a lot. I find it's just relaxing.
Right.
It's like it calms you down. It creates kind of a peace in the room. Yeah. So no, I think that's really great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I was doing a lot of digging, and I was like looking through it, and like 5 of the a lot of those hymns are hymns that like we've heard at graduating from a Christian university. But it was really cool to see that you had "Be Thou My Vision."
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure I always forget. I'm really bad at this, but I think that's our class, Austin and I. So each class, our class has their own class hymn, and I'm pretty sure that's our class hymn. And I was like, that's such a cool. That's so awesome.
It's not.
But it's not. Which one is it?
Ours is In Christ Alone.
Oh well,
Be Thou My Vision is the Visionaries class hymn.
Oh yeah. Well,
there you go.
It's okay.
I'm telling you,
it's still a great song.
John, there's always got to be 2 of us because I'm always forgetting something, and Austin's always keeping me, afloat. But I was very curious because you have "It Is Well" on there, and I was really encouraged by some of the things that you said on Facebook, and it was that quote by the gentleman who wrote "It Is Well."
Yeah.
What was that? I guess. What was so impactful, encouraging about what he said in his journey?
Yeah, so that was the first hymn that kind of came back to me during this time. And, that song is so powerful and stately. And I had heard the story of the origin behind it, but I wasn't thinking about that at all, to be honest, as I was doing the hymn. And then after that single came out, somebody told me, like, hey, have you heard the origin behind it? And I was like, I think I have, but I hadn't been thinking about it. And he told me it was basically a guy he had all of his kids on a boat, I think, coming overseas. And this is like back in the like 1800s, 1800s, actually. And he was coming overseas, or like, so all of his kids, they were in a boating accident coming overseas, and so like all of his kids were instantly gone overnight, and like that was kind of his like out of that season, he penned that song. And I always think I think that those stories are so powerful because he was just doing that for himself. Like back in the 1800s, you didn't have some big music industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just offered that up, and it's been amazing. Because I think out of any song on that project, I've heard the most about that one in particular.
Really?
And it's just like, man, that guy experienced such like deep tragedy and loss, and he was able to pen something that to this day is just comforting so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a testament. So
Yeah, I really like that and what you had to say for that, because I thought that was really, really good, especially in the season that we're in.
yeah.
So I thought it was really powerful. It was good.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you guys are expecting.
Yes.
How is that process going right now? It's the first time, right?
Yes, it is first time. So actually, after this interview, we're going to go to the hospital and get an ultrasound. So she's halfway to the pregnancy. This is the big ultrasound. So
Yeah.
I am thankful because I actually get to go in the room, because
that's good.
a month and a half, that was not the case. So this is probably the only ultrasound I'll be able to attend. And it's kind of saying like Emily gets to go in and get checked in, but I just got to stay outside the hospital the whole time. And then the like ultrasound tech will come in, and then I get like a heads up, and I've got to hurry in to get there, do the ultrasound, and then I have to leave the hospital, and then the doctor can come in. So they're like, we're at core.
Wow.
But like before, it was like I was going to be able to get like FaceTimed in potentially. So I'm just thankful I get to actually be in the room. But
That's good.
yeah, it's been like it's kind of comical. Like it isn't, but it is kind of comical. It's just like, Emily and I kind of planned everything out. Like her timeline's always been like a decade to have kids, and I've toured and I've built up this thing, and like that's in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
And Emily's been able to go back to school herself and get her education continued, and like we got all those things, and like bought our house and all of those things to try to get a good place to have a kid. And then it's like 6 weeks after her and I are like pregnant, it's like oh yeah, there's a pandemic, and
Yeah.
and you can't tour. That's how just like all of these things. So that has been funny, and it's just been a good reminder that like you can plan and you can be diligent, and I think that those things are so important. But at the end of it all, like you're not in control, and the best thing you can do is like accept that and really like have some peace with that, or else it's going to kill you. So
yeah. So once I guess the pandemic reaches its conclusion, hopefully soon, or within the next foreseeable future, how do you imagine your career changing once you do have a child?
Yeah, I mean, our plan the whole time has just been to keep doing the thing. Keep putting out projects and keep touring hard. So that has been our plan.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversation these days about like how this is going to impact touring, and like, everyone has an opinion, of course, and but the bottom line is like there isn't like any correct answer. But but as I continue to have conversations, it's kind of like all the bigger tours pretty much just on pause until there's a vaccine. So they're looking like 18 months down the road. There is a lot of maybe churches of 200, 300 people can do concerts when this is kind of done behind us. Kids are back at school, that kind of thing, which I am hopeful. I do think that there's two factors in that. Like I do think that could be a thing, but the bottom line is like people are still going to be hesitant probably coming out, which I get.
Yeah.
And then also, just bottom line, it's like I'm talking to pastors and their tithing has been hit and all that stuff. And so there's a lot of factors. And so, I'm kind of hunkered down and trying to do the things I can like here on our end to get us through the season. But I'm not expecting, to be back out on the road by July. So,
Mhm.
but who knows?
Yeah, and I definitely think there's going to be hesitation once it's all wrapped up. Because like even now, like I know we're not supposed to, and we don't. But like whenever I see someone, I don't think about shaking their hand like immediately.
Right.
We're creating these new habits where like we're not gonna shake hands, we're not gonna hug. It's like crazy that we're losing these things that we built up for so long. All these. We could get a new like handshake out of this, a new way to show respect to someone that we might end up, like in Korea with the bow or
Head
something.
bow. Honestly, okay. So I'd be curious to get your all's opinion on this because I've been doing the elbow bump,
Oh yeah.
but I heard this thing the other day that kind of threw that all out the window because you're supposed to offer sneeze into your elbow.
Yeah.
Ah.
And then
So
they
I was
fade
like,
in their
there
elbows.
goes that.
Yeah.
If you really don't like somebody, that's the way to go. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Here,
No, we can definitely brainstorm some different ways to greet each other. So I spent a month in Korea, 2018, and I got in a good habit of everywhere I went. Just,
That's cool.
hey, how you doing? So that's a fun one. It's you can feel like you're doing something fun.
That
Yeah,
is
a lot of people
cool.
are doing the foot.
Yeah, the foot. Like I get like doing the whole head bow thing because if I'm going out, like I've got a mask on and I'm so expressive, and it's like people can't even tell that.
Yeah.
And so I think doing the head bow is like a good gesture.
Yeah. Well, I sneezed into my foot, Phil, so I couldn't use my foot.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so gross.
Very difficult.
Yeah. So you kind of spoke about the journey and the desire to continue to, pursue this avenue, of touring and giving people your music. One of the big things that I'm very intrigued about is support. And it sounds as if early on in your career you kind of got a unique experience with support through Noise Trade. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And that's something that's really intrigues me about how your support seems to have changed. You have your wife now, and you are in this season of COVID, and where everything has to be digital, and that support has changed. What has been the most impactful support and the most beneficial in your experience, not just in a specific season, but just kind of throughout your career? How important is it to kind of seek that in this season or in that career?
Yeah, like I started doing this thing. I didn't have like a booking agent, a manager, or anything. Like I just did a couple EPs. Actually, I did the first EP and then I gave it out on Noise Trade, did awesome on there. And then, out of Noise Trade, of course, you get like contact info and stuff. And so we sort of started, stay in touch with those people. I put out like a tune on iTunes. It did great just by sending out the email, that sort of thing. Out of all that, like I was actually on staff at a church during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Got to a place where I was gone a lot, and I had to kind of pick and choose, and ended up, just jumping into touring full time. And we did a Kickstarter campaign to do a second EP, and that was great. And then at that point, started getting a lot of, some attention and calls from record companies and all that stuff. And I had heard great things. I've heard horror stories, and I wanted to put myself in a position to have some support and some help, but keep doing kind of everything on our own terms. And so I did do a single album at a big record company, and that was great because they got to put a bunch into me, and so that really helped and got me out there. And then at that point, when it came time to do the second album, the bottom line is like the music business changed so much from 2013 to that time. It was like end of 2016. Like music business was completely different. And at that point, the company was like outsourcing everything. And I was like, man, if I could just keep touring a little bit extra, I'll be able to do all this stuff. And so kind of started our own hybrid company. Of course, I've got a manager who's got a team. We've got a distribution company, and then have some advertising people too. And so been doing that now since 2017, and that has been fantastic. And that's kind of a happy place, I feel like, because I'm able to just decide instantly, hey, let's do the CP. I don't have to answer to anyone. And that has been like a good place for me. So continuing forward, that's definitely the place that I intend to be. The other part of that, of course, is, support. It's like, I think early on, I thought it would be great if, I could have like a big hit song or big hit album. That to me has changed so much and it's like the goal I have, I guess you'd say, is to just create music that's honest and to get it to the people that are going to enjoy it. And it's like, if I can continue to connect to that audience, I'll be taken care of. And I've seen that over and over and over. And it isn't so much about like having a song that like a lot of people have heard of and kind of enjoy. It's about like creating something that's like deeply meaningful for a handful of people. Because the earth is a big place and there's a lot of different personalities, a lot of different people. And, because of our digital access, I've got access to like a ton of opportunity to connect these songs to that audience.
Yeah.
Just being diligent about making something that's honest and connecting it to those people. So.
Yeah. That's great.
That's good.
I've heard that advice a lot for whether it's like musicians or influencers or people who want to create like a YouTube channel. It's not being focused on being the biggest and the best, just taking care of who you have, taking care of your people and your audience and giving out your best self. And then, the rest will come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. Talking about, supporting the people that you have, you have a dog. It's Lady, is that correct?
Yes. Did you guys just hear her?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
I'm curious to know, like, how do you support your dog? Because that's very important. We're supposed to support our dogs and the people that we love. But how does touring affect the love that you have for your dog?
Oh, so she's hilarious. She's almost 8. No, she just turned 8, and she's like 13 pounds, going on 200, and is completely in charge of our house. And be honest, I haven't ever had a dog, and by the time I started like touring a lot, it was important to Emily to get a dog. So like a puppy it was, and I thought it was gonna be her dog, and that dog, like I said, owns his entire house. So I am a slave to her and happy to be that. So.
That was good.
So I had a question about kind of talking about, so when you're pretty well developed now into your career, I guess in the beginning of the career, when you were making a lot of your decisions, whether it was about your life or your music, when you moved to Nashville, did you find someone who was able to like mentor you, or did you hold on to mentors from home? What kind of things did you do to help ground yourself and, think about like your decisions you're making?
Totally. So I had been pretty fortunate early on. Before I even moved to town, I had just kind of crossed paths with some pretty seasoned people in the music industry that had just taken an interest in me. And I can't, explain it beyond that. That was huge. And that was very helpful. to be honest, I was always hesitant to ever, ending up here. And because I've heard time and time again that, people come here and it's just really hard to get something started.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of against it. I had already, had a deal and all that stuff a good bit of time before I ever moved down here. Like our kind of like push into moving here it was January, and I was about to go out on a 50-day tour Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I was still in the studio doing an album down here in Tennessee. I was in Indiana at the time. So, and tours take off and get back, here. So I was going to be gone from like January to June. And we're like, this is not going to work. And so that was kind of the thing that was like, okay, it's time to move. And, that was an interesting time. Just like you pack everything up and you move to a completely different area, and then all of a sudden you're gone.
Yeah.
And I would just say that the people in this town are fantastic and kind, and they kind of came around us and supported us a lot. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing a lot by watching like Drew Holcomb's live streams and his kitchen covers. And then like after tornado, like it just seemed like everyone was helping everyone.
Man, that tornado was horrible.
Yeah, were you close?
Yeah. So, I am here in East Nashville, and so all those pictures of like buildings being on, that was here. So
Wow.
Yeah, it was terrifying. So like, it's really interesting because it's like our city has just blown up in the last decade, and it's just continued to grow and grow and grow. And then, it was a Tuesday evening. It was like 2 a.m. We just got hammered by the tornado. And then Thursday, COVID came here. And so, it's really been a hard season on this town. And I think the hardest thing personally is, if I go out to do like a takeout order or grocery store, you're driving past all of these buildings that are just like decimated. Yeah. They haven't even been able to begin to pick it up.
Yeah.
And that's been hard, but that's starting to change and starting to kind of piece it back together. So that's definitely encouraging. I do see the other end of this whole thing. But I would say it was 2 days before the coronavirus hit here and after the tornado. It was incredible to see just how many people are helping. I spent those 2 days, doing everything I can. So Emily teaches, and so her school created this thing, and because the power was out all over the place, and people were stuck in their homes, they couldn't get out.
Yeah.
And so just like taking like backpacks of like, stuff to eat and all that, and like taking it to their homes and all of that. And there were hundreds of thousands of people doing that. So it was cool.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy to get, you lose your building and then you lose your business in a week.
Yeah.
That's I struggle with doing these kind of interviews because there's like, when it's me and Austin working together, we're like, it can be good, but then there's like questions where like he's going one way and then I'm going one way, and it's always stuff like I want to stay focused and engaged in the conversation, but then there's like, because you were talking about how your wife is a teacher, just recently started teaching here in Louisville, and something that I really love. But one of the things I'm always interested in is people who are like associated with friends or spouses that are teachers, and how their perspective on teaching changes. Because, growing up, it might be like, man, I really don't like this teacher. I really love this teacher. Or, man, I hated school. But like teachers can go through a lot of things. This is more of just like a side question, but has your perspective changed hearing some of the stories that your, wife has gone through with her students?
Well, so I'm a teacher's kid. And so I've kind of always had a different perspective of it. I've always had a deep appreciation and or or respect for teachers. After our experience, here in town, um, I would say, like, obviously I can't do a blanket statement on behalf of like all teachers and all schools everywhere, but her school in particular is just incredible. It got started in 2012, I believe, and started just a kindergarten, and they basically added a grade each year since, and they capped it at K through 8.
Gotcha.
And the effort and the care for excellence that they put into getting their kids a great education is just like I think businesses love to talk about like excellence and all that stuff, but like being able to see the endless attentiveness the teachers put in to deeply caring about their kids, it's been unlike anything I've ever seen before. So
that's good. I just quickly, I just want to kind of say I really appreciate your openness and your honesty. It's much easier to be in these kind of Zoom calls that everybody's been dreading so far in this season. When it's actually a transparent, open conversation. So I appreciate your answers.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. So you mentioned you were a pastor's kid as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious about how, because pastor kids kind of grow up unlike any other Christian, family. How has your faith been affected being a pastor's kid? Whether it's because I was not a pastor's kid, but my mom was a Christian speaker, and a lot of times it's like it's all is every day. In the summers you go play at the church or like something, a lot of stuff like that, and at least for me, there was a moment where I had to go and own my faith for myself because I was always just doing what our family was doing. Was there ever a moment growing up where you feel like your faith has been affected by being a pastor's kid? And was there a moment where you had to kind of realize it for yourself and grow into your faith?
Yes. There've been a ton of moments like that. I would say, that my parents did a great job of kind of like, obviously I was super engaged at our church and I was involved, and like they had a basketball court. I was there all the time, as dad was doing his thing. Like I was always at the church. But they kind of kept us out of all of the issues that, tend to pop up inside churches.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a really good job of that. There was a season as an adult, honestly, that kind of all this stuff happened. And, dad pastored for decades and ended up with this brand new church and was pushed out, unfortunately. And it was a pretty negative experience. And at the same time, I was on staff at a church, and, as all of these touring opportunities were opening up, the church I was on staff at became a very just toxic, unhealthy place. And I had a brother who was a youth pastor and had a kind of crisis of his personal faith.
Mm-hmm.
And just like all of those things happened over a 90-day period.
Mm.
And so that was a very pivotal moment for me personally, because faith had always been very important to me, but it was always almost easy. And it was always like the church was there and you are always at the church, and that is the group of people that you're connected with, and you have great interactions with, and you build you just build your lives around that group.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like instantly seeing all of those things come to an end was a huge pivotal change, because all of a sudden it hadn't been easy. And so I had to choose to do that. And so, I mean, I would say that has been the most fundamental change when it comes to like a spiritual journey that I've had, but it's been the best thing ever because I didn't understand how deeply like intertwined like I had a personal identity like as a pastor's kid and all the image things that come with that and all that stuff and just kind of having all of that taken away, just prioritize like who I am is in that stuff. And it's like, yes, like I'm still involved in a church and I have tour all over and I'm connected to so many different churches. And that has been a beautiful experience, kind of seeing it on the other end of things and getting to just like attend as opposed to being there every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how different it is working at a church and just attending a church.
Yeah.
It's so different.
Yes.
I mean, it's important to like make sure that when you're going to church, you're not working for when you set aside your time to go to church.
Yeah, and I can kind of get on the soapbox, and it's controversial, but like I think pastors are amazing, but just from personal experience, it is so dangerous to have your income, I think, directly and completely connected to a church's like job, and like I get that that's just how it is in our culture, but then I mean your ability to pay your mortgage and to feed your family is based on how happy you are or like how happy people are at your church. And you could go decades and that can be a great thing, but it can also be very damaging. And I think that is a big part of like how so many pastors end up in like unhealthy addictions or habits and secrets, and it's because of that interconnection. I think pastors are amazing. I just like always advocate to have like a extra side hustle. So that you don't have to depend on that. But again, that is inside our culture and that's okay. So
no, that's great.
Yeah, that's good. I think I've heard that that value in the kind of that concept of a side hustle. I think that's becoming more and more prevalent in our society. Certainly things have become more challenging for a lot of people, but I think that's a really good thing to bring up, and it's interesting because I feel like anytime that I hear about it, I mean, I don't know, maybe Gary V, people have heard about him, people love him. And he's very controversial and he's very like, I want to say abrasive, but like he knows what he has a pretty good grasp on things, but it's interesting to hear it from a perspective of like a Christian background. Not in a bad way. I just think it's interesting because some of those individuals, you don't know where their faith is, and they're not very like, it's not on their shoulder, it's not on their sleeve. If they do have that, and so it's just really interesting to hear that. So that's good.
Yes, I don't want to run out of time because we're getting close to that. One thing that we do for every guest, every episode, is we are the Brotherhood Project. So while we do like cater to a pretty wide audience, we do like to at least take the end of the show and ask every guest the same question. And basically, we like to create a community where guys can, listen to fulfilling content that's entertaining, but also encourages them. And we would like to ask you, what does it mean for you to be a good brother?
Oh, that's a good one. I was not prepared for that question. I think to be a good brother and to be a good man, I think like, I guess I would say the first thing that pops to my mind is being still low to speak, and being always happy to listen first. Like I know, like I personally always love to hurry into having an answer, and correcting an issue, taking care of a problem, and oftentimes the best thing I can do is just hear someone out. And in our culture as guys, I feel like there's a pressure to take care of those problems and to be perfect, I guess, in that way. And that isn't the thing that we're supposed to do, actually. So.
Yeah, I know we kind of sprung it on you, but sometimes the spontaneous answers are the best ones, and that was a great one.
Yeah, and talking about perfection, your haircut, nice.
Oh, that is a COVID house cut by Emily.
Yeah, I was curious.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, a couple weeks
ago.
A couple weeks ago, my hair was down to my shoulders, and I got tired of it.
Are you serious?
It was probably like.
Oh my gosh, you cut it off.
Yeah, we got bored one day, and we're just deciding.
We have 3 different responses to COVID. Clean haircut, and then we have just a straight buzz cut, and then I'm growing my hair out. That's a mess.
Yeah. So we're almost near an hour, and I was just Phil, do you have any other questions that you wanted to pop in, or?
My question is the question that I really wanted to get to. I feel like it would take a little bit longer, but do you think I could put you on the spot for a short?
Yeah.
All right. So I think it's really unique about how your journey, the journey through your career. It seems as if there's always new ways to reinvent yourself and explore. But one of the questions that I've had is, as you've kind of gone through your career, you've worked with a variety of other artists. And some I know and some I don't. But one of the things that I was really curious to know is kind of how do you make sure that you work together when you're working with another artist, but also display your best talents and skills in your kind of artistry and in your craft. Because
are you talking about how I've had different artists on albums that I've done and I've hooked out other artists?
Yeah, just how when you're creating something, because I know in wilder years you work with Jess Ray and I know her song Runaway pretty well.
That's great.
But I was just kind of curious, how important is it to make sure you show your talents and your skills, but also complement each other?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, it comes pretty easily. I feel like 99% of people here doing this are pretty cool, and it isn't like everyone's trying to outdo each other. And it just kind of is project to project, and it's if you have a tune and you think this person would be a great asset and that they would complement the energy, then you call that person up, and if they're able to come do it, great, and if they aren't, that's okay. And it's pretty straightforward as that. And I've had Ellie Holcomb and Sandra Nick Kurakin, on some other tunes too, and everyone's just been super awesome and easy to work with, and just I'm so thankful. That whole part of the process is so enjoyable because it's I am thankful I get to have you all on these songs. So thank you. So it definitely isn't a competition. And
it's good. Yeah, I wanted to slide that one in there because I thought it was really, teamwork is very important, but it's always interesting. There's more questions that I can have, but hopefully maybe down the road we can have you on again and I can ask those questions.
Yeah, well, I would love that.
Yeah. So thank you again for being so generous with your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Joining us. What kind of things can we do for you? What can we check out? What can we do right now to support you?
Yeah. I mean, man, I'm good. Of course, there's always the, check me out on Spotify, Patreon, all that stuff. But, if the people who are tuning in, enjoy this conversation, then just connect with me on Instagram and Facebook and all that. And we'll be happy to keep in contact.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Thank you.
Check out the hot sauce.
Get the hot sauce. Give us your review on the hot sauce.
Okay. So I should tell you guys, seriously, if anyone out there wants hot sauce, go to our site and order it. Because I was going on this tour and I've got 500, 600 bottles of hot sauce. Set to go.
Yeah.
So order some hot sauce because I can't eat that much.
Yeah. Get the hot sauce out of his garage. So yeah, we'll kind of wrap up today's show. This has been the Brotherhood Project with Mr. John Tibbs and your co-host Philip Salmon. You can find us on Facebook on the Brotherhood Project and also watch video portions of this show on YouTube. Those are the only two places where we kind of have community and conversate about each show. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for today. And just thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
And we hope, baby, everything is amazing and that we can smooth ourselves out of this COVID-19 and have
Let's
a
do
roaring
it.
20s. Yeah. So we will see all of you guys again on next Monday. So see ya.
Top, gotta start from the bottom.